Ladies and gentlemen, listeners, lovers, and friends, welcome back to the podcast. I am your host, Jim Fogarty. We are coming to you from Two Ticks and the Dog Productions up above Dave Grohl Alley in beautiful downtown Warren, Ohio, on the square. And it's a beautiful spring day. We're going to rip right in here with my good friend and fellow artist and sound tech and audiophile, and I'm going to give him like a million titles.
Call me any name you want. I'm used to every one of them.
But before we do, I've got to mention and shout out our incredible sponsors who, without Season 4, would not be possible. They are the Station Square Restaurant, Salvatore's Italian Grill, Modern Methods Brewery, right down the alley here on Dave Grohl, Brokers Realty, and Prosperity Partners. Appreciate you fellas, and anyone that's watching the show on YouTube, you'll obviously see a couple of ads pop up, and you'll hear a couple of ads pop up if you're listening on Spotify or anywhere else podcasts are heard. I hate when people say without further ado, because it's just like such a thing.
You just did it.
And I say it all the time. I know. Bad boy. Those nuns would smack your hands, man.
More than your hand.
Did you go to Catholic?
Oh. 8 years, baby. I was even an altar boy, but not. I wasn't molested. We had
thank God.
Priests. Well, we had priests that liked alcohol more than young boys.
Booze,
that's a good
right?
thing. Okay?
Yeah.
But I gotta say that's one of the places where I started my musical career. My parents gave me let me have piano lessons with the nuns. And they would teach you with the ruler. If you fucked up,
smack your fucking hands.
Yeah. So that's a good way to teach piano, isn't it? Okay. I wonder what school that is. You. Yeah. The who knows?
Reformed Catholic.
Recovering.
Yeah,
a friend of mine says recovering Catholic.
My dad likes to say fallen Catholic.
Okay. There's many excuses to be Catholic, or not anymore.
Musician, fallen Catholic, recovering Catholic.
Yes.
Owner of Toontown Records and Recordings. This guy has, I'm not even going to start listing them because we're going to talk about all the artists that you've worked with.
Yes, of course.
And I've been both in studio as an observer and in studio as an artist, and both experiences have been incredible. And I
thank you,
Mike Talanca, folks. Mike, first off, welcome to the show. We'll throw that out there first.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, man, you're welcome.
You got balls to have me on your show.
Well, I like to carry him around in the wheelbarrow.
That's the best place to put him.
and you know, every experience that we've had with you has been incredible. And I thought, man, what a wealth. And I know you're going to shy away from it, but what a wealth of information and inspiration and technical expertise you bring. And our listeners are made up of artists and things of that nature. And so I thought, man, this would be a great guy to have. So I know we took some time to set it up, man. Man, thanks for making the trek out from Newton Falls.
Yeah, it took a whole 15, maybe 20 minutes. Okay?
You had a lot of travel time, man.
A lot of travel time, okay? Jeez, I don't know if I could handle it.
Well, since we're already into it, tell me about these nuns, man. Tell me how you learned, that's how you learned piano?
Well, learned, I I only took, I think it was in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade for a few years. And then because, let me start from this other point.
Mm-hmm.
Look, the reason I'm here today, of course, is because of my parents. Obviously, hardworking people. They had a bakery in Newton Falls, and I would get up in the morning with them at my mom, 6 o'clock in the morning. My brother and I, we go to work at the bakery for about an hour and a half. Go to school.
Got to make the donuts.
And then some. Come back after school, clean things up. So homework was a pain in the ass. But my point was with the nuns, they wanted me to have piano lessons. My brother also. We took lessons, and the nuns taught you their own way, like I said, with a ruler. But that kind of gave me a mental blockage to wanting to play the keyboard. I quit. I stopped. But my dad and mom were good enough I wanted to have a guitar. I wanted a guitar. Okay, of course, and I'll tell you why later. But
chicks get guitar. Guitar players get chicks.
When you grew up when I did, and the Beatles hit the fucking television. Come on now, what are you gonna do? You want to play guitar. You don't want to be keyboard. Well, because there were keyboard players, like the Dave Clark Five had a keyboard player, and other bands like that in the '60s. But I wanted to learn how to play guitar, and I taught myself how to play guitar. I did take a couple lessons, but again, for some reason, lessons, and I had a regular guitar teacher. This guy was a real nice guy, lived in Newton Falls, and he taught me, what he taught me was good. It's just that I wanted to learn faster, at least I thought I did, okay? And I taught myself chords and went from there. But my whole life is built around a work ethic that my parents taught me because I grew up working, okay? I was 6, 7 years old working with my dad in the bakery. And when I became old enough to go play in a band, he said, sure, you can go play in a band, no problem. But don't forget, Saturdays and Sundays, 2 o'clock in the morning, I had to be with my dad. So we would play from 10 to 2. I'd come back, change my clothes, and go right to work.
No kidding.
Yeah. Okay. So that, again.
Bacon bread, bacon everything.
Pizza, pies, you name it, cakes, whatever. Because my dad was an all-round baker. He worked at Warren Baking Company here on.
Oh, yeah.
He worked there for a few years with Johnny at the time.
Okay.
And Patty's still there. I'm sure she's taking care for Dad there. So, just whatever. But
so was the bakery top level, or was it like one of those basement bakeries?
No. This was top level this is the 60s, 1960s. So this was before they even put bakeries in grocery stores. So that was just like
standalone building.
Yeah, standalone building by itself. And my parents, like I said, they were workers. My father was a POW in a German prisoner of war camp. He was in the Italian Navy. My parents came from Italy.
Oh my God,
okay?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. He came here and worked his ass off, basically. And here I am today, a product of what they made me, because what I do is not work. I don't think it's that hard, okay? It's not that hard for me. So I don't mind it, and work is not...
Don't say that too loud. You have some people wanting to come at you for free. Go, hey, Mike, it's not even work, remember?
Hold it.
Yeah.
You got to pay for my experience.
Amen.
Don't fucking tell me you're not going to pay me, okay? I ain't dealing with that shit. How do I put gas in my car?
Amen.
How am I going to feed myself because nobody else is going to say, well, that's okay, you're doing it for free. No. Nothing's a charity today, especially.
No, definitely
my gear,
not.
my guitars, everything I have, you had to work for it, man. You know that. I don't have to tell you.
Sure.
So that's basically when I was growing up. Also, the other thing that steered me towards music was, we would have the girls from high school would work for my dad. They'd be out front, and help my mom or something, and they wanted to hear what was on the radio at the time, rock music, and it was early rock and roll is what I should say.
Give us a time frame. What year is this?
This is 1961 to 1968, let's say,
Okay.
9. I mean, once I got a little bit older, it was what I wanted to hear on the radio, or my brother, and we wanted to hear the same thing. Okay, we grew up on WMMS, also
the Buzzard, baby.
Right, but that was later when they were playing rock and everything. The early stuff was I think HOT at the time was still in business. They were making music then because it was Boots Bell and all these other
Boots
cats.
Bell.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's who I'd listen to before I'd go to bed every night. I had a radio that it had a timer on it. So I could, an hour timer, I'd click it on to 1 hour, listen to the music, and I'd put my pillow right next to the radio, turn it down, fall asleep to the music, and just listen to it. So that.
How many years between you and your brother?
1.
Oh, he's like your best dude. He's your best friend.
Yeah, he was at the time.
Yeah.
He's passed away since. So,
I'm sorry.
It's just life. You never know what's going to happen. But the point here is, we both had to work in that bakery. We did until we were at least in our mid-20s or so. Helped my parents, and then my dad sold the business, and I was doing a recording studio by then. They didn't understand what I wanted to do. I don't think my parents understood. They thought I wanted to just play music or whatever. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I should even say that, because how can you know when you're 15, 17, even 21? You still don't know where your life's going to, okay?
Yeah.
So
you don't even really know kind of who you are at
thank
that point.
you.
Yeah.
I'm still learning who the fuck I am, okay?
Right.
I still don't know this guy.
So
here.
to take you back, the Newton Falls cheerleaders, high school girls, they're playing the music. We kind of sidetracked. So you'd listen to what they would listen to.
Yes, I would listen to it, of course, and I loved it because that was what was pop music. And then the Beatles coming on in 1964 on TV on the Ed Sullivan Show. We would watch TV. I'd watch it with my parents, and they didn't understand that. They would think James Brown or Aretha Franklin, when they're singing or they're gruffing and everything, my dad would go, what's wrong with that? Are they hungry? Something wrong? They didn't get it. The soul thing. Okay?
Yeah,
and
right.
I understand that. My dad loved opera. That was his thing. So Saturday, we would, in the morning, up till about 9 or 10 o'clock, and then he would switch it to the public radio station, I think YSU at the time, and we'd let him listen to the opera for 2 hours. Again, another form of music that I was exposed to, and being exposed to it sort of opens me up. I thought it was weird, but you hear all this classical stuff, the strings and all that, and you just, wow, that's pretty cool. I don't understand it. I'm young, obviously, and you just listen to a different style of music, that's another thing for myself, which helped me love different kinds of music. I'm not one kind of person. If anybody gets a chance, if you want to listen, I've already done 4 albums. I'm working on my 5th. And you'll hear my music, one song to the next, they're not the same. You want to go to bandcamp.com, then go to Band of the Free. That's the name that I called this band because, look, I got great friends and other musicians that I've known for years that I have them play on this. I can't take all the credit for all the playing on they'd throw ideas at me and everything. It's like, this is a whole, it takes all of us to do this, okay? I'm not on an island. I'll write the songs, I'll produce it, I'll engineer it, which is, by the way, I should go over this also. People should know the difference in when you say, I'm a recording engineer, I'm a recording producer, and I'm an artist. Those are 3 different people. When I was in New York, you knew the difference. The artist was always the guy that sang, the person, I shouldn't say guy, the person that sang, wrote the songs, developed the music. The engineer was the guy that would record. But now the third person, the producer, everybody doesn't understand what that is. That third person, he's the guy that sits there and listens and says, maybe you should go to the chorus there. Don't do a double verse, or do a half a verse and then go to the chorus, then go to your bridge, come back out of the song. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. He would tell you what he felt, and he would talk to the artist. They'd work together to make this happen. So just like when you're thinking about doing music today, and you sent me up a list of things that we were going to talk about. And one of the things was I wanted to say that, look, I'm an engineer, I'm a producer, and I'm an artist. So when you hire me or you come to my studio to have me work, I'll take some of those roles, but I expect you to help me. I can't read your fucking mind.
Right.
I can't read minds yet. So when I can, that's when I'll know, hey, I'm doing it perfectly, exactly how you want me to do it. Until then, I ask for input, okay? And the difference between doing it here in Northeast Ohio and recording here, and in New York City, where I was at was called Right Track Recording, okay? This was between 1985 and 1989 because I quit and went to another studio that was doing video only because I wanted to learn how the technical end of locking tape machines to video machines. Today we have computers, it's all in one box.
Sure.
Then it was a multi-track machine that was the size of a refrigerator, okay, locked to a videotape machine, which was like, okay, it wasn't small either. That was a big machine. And these machines had to lock together so that they could do the audio sweetening for the video, basically. So that, I'm kind of losing my train of thought of where I wanted to go with this. The engineer, the producer. Yeah, the difference. I'm sorry. Thank you. Keep me on track because I'll go sideways.
I'm producing here.
Attaboy. See, that's what I need. I need a producer, a video producer. So anyways, the producer is the guy that helps the members of the band realize their vision of their song. He might even say, listen to a song going, this isn't moving me, or we should go to this key, or whatever. He'll try to help you any way that he can. I'll take on that role, even though being here and being in New York is this difference. When they would ask you, I had a recording studio with 2 other partners in New York at one time also. People would call them. They never ask how much it costs. The first thing they would ask is, what do you got for gear? What kind of tape machine you have? What kind of microphones you have? Do you have any synthesizers? Or, they would ask you about your gear. They don't ask, not one person. I've been here back from New York since 1990. Opened my studio in 96. Okay, so I've been there since 96 there. I was recording before that, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But right now, so from the time I have been there till now, nobody asks me what kind of equipment I have. Never do. They don't even, half of them don't even know what the equipment is, even though they say, I want to have, is this good? They want to know how much it costs. And I understand that because in New York, they didn't give a shit about the budget. The budget was already there. The record labels would pay for it, or somebody that had a lot of money would pay, and you'd be there. The other difference between New York and here is they would spend 10 or 100 times more time working on something than somebody does here, okay? Because you can sit there and think about a guitar part. Perfect example. I'm working there at Right Track. Foreigners coming in to do their album, Inside Information, okay?
They're already big stars.
Oh, already big stars. This is 1986. Yeah, 86, I think they started the album. Anyways, so, and the whole point here is that they started their album, they set the drums up. It took them almost 2 weeks to get the drum sounds they wanted, and they replaced some of those drum sounds with samples. The whole thing was getting the drums to sound as great as possible. They'd lay down all the songs, and then, okay, this song is a ballad. We can't use that rock snare that we have, that we dig for the other songs. We got to change it with they change it with a sample or whatever. Sometimes they would change the drum, and it might take them maybe 8 or 10 hours to get the snare to sound the way they want to, or because there would be a guy that would come in, and he'd have a road case full of snares. And I'm talking about 30 to 40 snares, not 4 or 5. Kick drums, a dozen. Tom-toms, again, cymbals. He had the studio was full of road cases. And then they'd get the set the way they wanted it, and then they'd start recording, okay? So that wasn't with every artist. Some cats would bring their stuff in. They'd have a guy that would bring his stuff in, set it up, and then they might spend a couple of days on getting the drums to sound the way they want it to, and then start recording. But that's what we don't have here, because you don't have the budget, and I understand that. I have people come in, and I have to set a band up. I have to make sure everything sounds as great as possible and try to stay within their budget, because I don't want them to run out of money in the middle of a project. We got to finish this thing. Because I'll have a band come in, and they think spending $300 or $400 on about 4 or 5 songs is a lot of money. And I understand that.
Sure.
It's $100 a tune, $100, $200 a tune. That's a lot of money. But when you compare it to a record label budget, I'll give you a perfect example. We had Billy Idol, okay, was doing his Whiplash Smile album. And he ran out of money. He already had, I don't know, maybe a couple $100,000 into it, but they knew this album was going to sell. It was going to go platinum. They knew this ahead of time. They came into the studio. I think they stopped for a day or two, if I'm not mistaken. Talked to the studio owner, my boss, and they worked out another deal, and they got more money from the label, obviously, and they just continued on. Worked another 2 months, I think, on the record, and finished it as they would normally. But here's the whole thing is, you've got to have, when you write your songs, I ask the bands, listen, be really practiced up and do a demo. Everybody's got a computer today. Even if you only got one microphone to record yourself with, record yourself, okay? Listen to what you guys are doing. Do you like the way the song sounds? Is that good? You can do that today. You don't have to have a lot of knowledge to be able to do all this stuff. It's just enough to turn your computer on, almost use the mics that are in the computer if you had to, okay? And record. And at least listen to what you're doing, and talk to everybody and say, okay, yeah, I'm going to do this part and do that part, okay? Because that's what they were doing at Right Track in New York City, man. They would just, they'd be talking. They might scrap the song and start because the tempo was too slow, or we got to change this and change that. Instead of cutting the tape, they just recut the song because they were already set up. Everything was set up. Okay, so, and that's the other thing they do there in New York that nobody does here, rarely. I've had this happen only twice. It's called a lockout. You own the studio for months at a time, the whole thing. You own the room, nobody changes, nobody touches nothing. We would go in there every day. I'd go in there daily, line the tape machine. If there was a problem, we'd have a maintenance sheet. I'd go over the problems, fix those, because when I was in New York City, I wasn't a recording engineer. I did in my own, I partnered with 2 other guys, and we opened a little studio in downtown Manhattan on Lafayette Street, okay? Lafayette Street runs parallel with Mulberry Street. That's Little Italy there,
yeah, right.
Okay? So,
Station Square is extending our 38-year anniversary celebration through April with our exclusive $38 entrees. Pick from our limited-time anniversary specials: seafood platter, surf and turf, or twin king fillets. Only at the Station Square restaurant.
Let Salvatore's Howland host your special event in their new banquet facility. Up to 150 guests will enjoy a metropolitan vibe, full-service bar, and customized menu. Call 330-609-7777 or visit salvatoreshowland.com.
With that buzz of select Brazilian Dolce coffee beans, that brew Ipanema's seductively sweet beach coffee, they mingle a flawless measure of their crisp Darlene lager. Somehow, somewhere in a secret lab with modern methods, they blend the perfectly balanced, light, uplifting, gold medal winning brew known as the Percolator. Available at Modern Methods Tap Room or the new Darlene Lounge on Courthouse Square in downtown Warren.
What was the studio called? The second one?
My studio?
Yeah.
Active is what we called it.
Okay.
Active recording. And anyways, that's where I did recording engineering. But I was watching the cats. See, those recording engineers would think of me as a tech. So whenever I'd see something, they're working on something, and I says, they say, hey, something ain't working. I'm going, damn, they got this compressor's patched into this EQ, and then they went to this other device, and then they went to the tape directly instead of going. And I'd ask the engineer, hey, how come you're doing this? And he'd tell me why. Because he wouldn't think that, hey, this is one of my things I don't tell anybody about. But hey, if you want me to fix shit, you got to tell me what you're doing so I understand the signal flow and what's going on. I learned a lot about signal flow and what. Give you another great example. Light bulb moments. I'm going to be talking about these today. Okay. Give you one light bulb moment. Bob Clearmountain. You know who Bob Clear? Okay.
I do not.
And you people should know who Bob Clearmountain is, one of the greatest engineers on the planet alive today. He's done more records, more gold probably than anybody that I know of. So he was in the studio working on Bruce Springsteen's live album. And he says, hey, Mike, I need a cable, a couple of them. The patch bay they're TT, they're called tiny telephone. They're smaller than 1/4 inch, okay, so that they're specialized. He says, I need a couple cables because I'm going to use a wah pedal on this track. And I'm going, what? I made the cables. He says, I'll explain it to you. So I made the cables. And see, again, Bob was nice enough to show me what he was doing. So he ran it. He ran this guitar track. They did this live. This was a live album. So he wanted to add a wah part to this guitar part. He ran it through a send, turned it way down because a wah-wah pedal would overload if you hit it with +4, or the recording level, line level, that's a +4 if you need to know what that technically is. You can look it up. Okay?
Get nerdy into it.
I'm getting a little nerdy.
It's
but,
good. It's good.
So he turned the send down, then he would run that guitar with just like guitar level, okay, -15 or 20 or whatever that is around that area, and then put the wah pedal and laid it back on another track, because it was 48 tracks then. That's what we were doing, locking up 2 machines. And I'm going, you can do that? He says, yeah, anything can patch in just as long as you get the level right. And I'm going, son of a bitch. You see what I mean? These stupid little things that I have learned through life, that when I went to New York City, I knew nothing. I thought I knew something. I knew nothing. And even today, I don't know who, a wise man said this. When you think you know everything, you don't know nothing. Mm-hmm. So when anybody out there, when you think you're that smart, you ain't. Even today. I'm still learning today.
Yeah.
Okay? So I haven't stopped learning.
The minute you stop, you become a liability.
Correct. To yourself and everybody else, because you think you know everything.
Right.
Which is another problem with a lot of, I'll try to say this as nice as I can, because I've heard too many stories. I've had people come in the studio and say, man, I was at this studio and the guy yelled at me, or they were short with me and everything. It's like, look, if you're a recording engineer, you're supposed to help the artist. Don't give him a hard time. You're supposed to be his friend. If he needs something, don't say you can't do it. Say, let's see if we can. We'll try. If it works, fine. If it doesn't, okay, I tried. Okay, but use whatever knowledge you can to get to where you got to get to. I heard too many stories. This is around here, this area, okay?
Right.
In New York, there would be, I remember there was I can't remember what song it was. It was a hit song that they remixed. They had 5 engineers remix this song, a hit song. It wasn't a hit. They had 5 cats remix it, and the record label picked the one. But those engineers didn't go, how come you didn't like mine? And they got paid for it. They didn't give a fuck.
Right.
They move on to the next, the next thing.
They're pros.
They're pros.
Yeah.
Okay? When you're a professional, you don't look at somebody and say, how come you didn't hire me? How come? That's child shit.
That's
okay.
baby
That's
shit.
third grade shit. You should grow out of that. The only reason you should stay in the third grade is because of the way you talk or think, as far as lewdness or stupidity. Okay, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
you're talking funny things. That's all. Been being in the third grade mentality. But other than that, if you're recording people, you gotta be able to use the equipment, the technical equipment, man. And you gotta be friendly, because if in the studio you start off with a shitty attitude because you woke up that morning and you didn't feel good, you got to put that on somebody else. You're already flattening everybody's tires before you can even get started.
You're pulling out the fucking energy, man.
When we were working in the studio, was I ever mad?
No, it was
Did I
awesome.
always make...
Fuck no. I felt so at home. And this is why... And I think this is why we're very simpatico.
Of course.
And because your job, my job, in whatever role I'm doing, whether I'm directing or whether I'm a fucking tech, I'm a PA on a job, or I'm just whatever, my job is to set you up for success.
Correct.
Everybody around, we had directors, and they want to berate because they want to pull a certain, if it was dramatic,
Sure.
they want to pull a certain performance out of somebody.
That's
or
different,
they weren't
yes.
getting something.
Right.
No, even then, you want to set that person up for success. The fucking artist already is in his own head or her head thinking, I'm not, maybe it's not good enough, or, they're already and then at the second you apply that pressure and don't set them up for success, you run the risk of them shutting down.
Right.
And then you're not going to get the performance that you want.
No, there could be another day or two before you get what you
Right.
want now.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. When people come in,
Fucked
I'm
up the
always
vibe,
making
man.
jokes.
Oh.
Look, if it's a Christian band, I don't swear. I
Yeah,
don't have
right.
to. I will be a smart ass. I'll still laugh and say things like, and at this point, I should say this right now. To anybody that's listening to this podcast, if I swear, if I say something that offends you, I apologize right
We're
now.
sorry.
We're sorry.
Yep.
But I live in the real world, and this is just the way I talk. This is the way I've learned it. I don't try to hurt anybody's feelings. That's not what this is about. This is about, I'm just trying to connect with you. Most of the time, in order to make people laugh, you have to swear sometimes, especially people that don't care if you swear. And then we get to a point where we're enjoying what we're doing. That's what the studio is all about. You got to go to the studio and enjoy. If you're somewhere and that guy behind the console, if it's just you and an engineer and he's not making you happy, finish the session, pay the man, and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Don't sit there and go through this bullshit that you think is going to be better, he's going to be nicer tomorrow with everything. If it doesn't change...
And doesn't it affect, like, if that vibe's not there, that energy's not there, your asshole's puckered,
No
you're
kidding.
tight, man.
Tell
You're
me
fucking
about
not
it.
giving the...
No.
Whether it's music, whether it's...
Doesn't matter.
Whether it's a performance, whatever
Could
it is.
be anything.
Yeah.
Could be a mechanic in a car, fixing a car. Same thing. Give you an
Yeah.
attitude, and it's like, I don't want to fucking come back here. The fucking guys give me a hard time because the car broke down. Ain't my fault.
Right.
Fuck. Okay?
Right.
So, again, like I said, when I was in New York City, most of my work was technical work. I was the chief tech at Right Track. I didn't become that when I was hired. I was the night guy. I was the night tech at Right Track, okay? Meaning I was supposed to be the studio manager as well as the maintenance guy that's on staff for the night, because I had a boss. It was a boss for me. His name was Bob Schwall. This guy was a genius. He was very good at fixing equipment, and I wanted to learn and be as good as him.
How big was this studio?
The studio had 2 rooms. Square footage, it's probably, I would say, Studio A was bigger than Studio B. Studio A had like 15, 20-foot ceilings, if I remember correctly, and had a big room, 72 input SSL console, solid state logic console at the time. That is one of the biggest, one of the most technically advanced consoles they made at the time, because it was all computerized control. You could automate things, which was new at the time. Again, computers were just coming out. So this console had a computer built into it, okay? And I had to learn how to fix it. When I became the chief tech, my boss sent me to England for a week to learn at this place, Begbrook, England. I went there for a week,
Good day, mate.
It was
Oh, that's
wonderful. Bloody fucking
Australia,
hell.
but yeah. Oh,
well, my boss was English. Okay. So he was like, fuck this and the fucking vultures
fucking
and
cunt.
God damn it.
Oh,
Anyways.
everyone gets real squeamish when that word comes out.
yeah.
Well, those English, they love throwing that word
that's
around.
a normal word for them.
Fuck.
That doesn't mean anything. That's like shit or something.
Swearing and cursing are two different things.
Of course they are.
Cursing is like, you cut me off in traffic and I
Right.
motherfucked you.
Right.
Swearing is, you and I are boys and like, what's up, motherfucker?
That's right.
How are you?
Yeah. How's it hanging, bitch? What the fuck?
Yeah,
Okay?
two different things.
That's all.
Right.
Yes. But see that, again, like we're talking right now, that's how I would want to talk to cats in the studio. I tell them, listen, I'm in the band when you're here.
Yeah.
Treat me like I'm in the band because I've been in a band for 50 years with other cats.
Yeah.
Treat me like I'm in the band. We'll get along easily. If you want to call me names, make fun of me, go ahead. But watch out what comes back, bitch.
Right,
because,
right.
okay, payback's always the bitch.
So I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
you
no.
went to London. You
went
learned
to
the
London,
console.
learned the recording console. They taught me how to read a manual, how to read their manual, which is reading any manual today, which is great. I can learn how to read a service manual. That was a big eye-opening experience. The other experience I got, see, again, how did I know that when I went to New York City, I worked in a great studio. I got to tell you a story of how I got the job, but I worked at this place that only stars went there. There was nobody that you never heard of. It was everybody was a star already. I'll go down a list in a little bit, but
Yeah.
and I'll tell you stories about what happened with some of these people. But when I was there, how was I to know that my boss, he's going to make me the chief? There was a reason why I think he made me the chief, but the point being here, I got to go to England. And then when we finished the course early, we had 2 days left. There was this lady, she was a wonderful sweetheart of a lady, said, well, you blokes are done early. Would you like to see any studios in London if you're going to go to London? I'm going, what studios can I go? Name it. Well, the first word that came out of my mouth, Abbey Road, done.
No shit.
I went to Abbey Road.
Wow.
Went to a place called hold it, I wrote it down here. Where's it at? The Townhouse, which was, I think, Genesis and them recorded there at that place,
wow.
okay? There was 2 or 3 studios we went to. But the cat at Abbey Road was the nicest fucking guy. It's like going to the Vatican. That's how I felt when I went to Abbey. We're going there? I get to go there? Are you kidding me? So me and this other American guy, his name's not going to come to me. I apologize to anybody that I forget your name. You can call me and yell at me later. But the apology is right up front for you, okay? Thank you. Anyways, I have to do that.
Yeah.
I wrote so much shit down.
You came in with a couple chapters, man. I love it.
I know that. I'm prepared.
It's
like
beautiful.
I said, most names I'll get. I can't remember the guy's name. If during the podcast I remember this, I'll mention you. But we spent 2 days in London, and we went to, when we went to Abbey Road, the guy showed us all around the whole place, the tape library and all this place. Anyways, you can see where the Beatles got some of their sound effects for their records and everything down in the vault. But there were other bands that recorded there, like the Hollies, okay? Another great 60s group, vocals galore on their albums. Anyways, going to London was an experience in itself. I never knew. This is when MTV was big, so showing videos was huge. We went to this club, and this guy, he's from Texas. God damn it, I can't remember his name. Anyways, I haven't talked to him in probably 20 years. That's probably why, 20 or 30 years. Anyways, he went up to the front. We were standing in line. We must have been like about 50, 60 feet from the front door. He says, watch this. He goes up to the front guy, the guy that's the doorman there, and he says, the guy from Abbey Road, he named his name, and he says, he's waiting for us inside. Can we go in? He goes, yeah, sure, go ahead. He called me up there. I says, how the fuck did you do this? He says, I just told him that guy from Abbey Road. Listen, he knew that guy, and he let us in. So, see, again, these little stupid things.
The guy wasn't actually in there.
No, he wasn't in there. He was bullshitting,
Yeah.
and I just like, God damn, that worked out really good. But my point was, we're standing in this club, and I'm looking around. It's a huge old movie theater, and they're showing these videos. Well, these videos, the videos you saw on MTV were sanitized because there were tits and ass all over these videos.
All right.
You'd see whether it was, I'm trying to think of who did. a song.
Do 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 do.
Yeah. Okay. The name of that group. They had a video, and there was a semi-naked woman. I didn't know
Is that not Wham? Duran Duran?
No. Duran Duran.
Yeah.
Thank you. So they had the video.
Hungry Like a Wolf.
That's it.
Couldn't remember the fucking song.
But
your rendition of it was great.
Well,
yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Melodies I got. I can remember melodies all day long. Names, sometimes they just go away. But anyways, when I'm just standing there looking at these videos going, holy shit, they ain't showing this stuff on MTV. I'd see it's an edited video, you're the one on MTV. This one here, it's like, because they'd show a longer version. That's the other thing that they did in the 80s. They would cut different versions of pop songs. They'd make them longer. They might put a drum beat in there and, just elongate the songs. Again, just the things that you learn, these little things going one at a time that, wow, I didn't know that, and you're learning this, and wow, that's pretty cool. But the whole thing, just going to England for me was an eye-opening experience because I learned the technical end of what I was doing better, so that any equipment that we had there, I was able to pop the manual open. Oh yeah, let me look. Oh yeah, I got to go here. Oop. Okay, yep. And I'd be able to fix the thing quickly because they taught me how to read a technical manual, okay? Like I said, my job was being a technician. I learned from the engineers, and because I had a studio with some other partners, a couple years later, after I started at Right Track, this wasn't right away, it was a couple years later, a couple of the cats, one of them was a tech and the other guy was an assistant, and we just got together, we became friends and everything. We said, let's try to do some kind of studio thing. That's when I was trying to learn things from these engineers, how they patch things, what kind of equipment they use, what they were doing. That's, to me, is all eye-opening stuff. And like we talked earlier, don't get lost in that you got to have the certain piece of equipment to make music. Today, that's not true. It's not true. There's microphones sitting here. You can make music with any of these microphones right here, okay? And do a good job. You don't have to be a great recording engineer. You're just trying to make a demo is what you're doing. If you're trying to do something more intense, maybe you want to hire an engineer to mix it for you, okay? Lay down all the tracks, take it to a guy like me. I can edit it and mix it for you and master it for you, and you're done, okay? You're going to get at least my experience. But the other thing is, I keep telling everybody, I can't read your mind. Tell me. Most bands that come in, and that's one of the things I tell people, that Toontown is a place where I can record 20 people at one time. Most studios in this area, most, not all of them, because there are some places that have space and they've got inputs and they have microphones. They've got something that I've got an 80 input console. I don't even use 1/3 of that anymore because of what we do today. But the point is, I have bands come in and I try to make them feel at home, but at the same time let them know, look, if there's something when you go home at the end of the day, because we'll come back and remix, we're going to mix this. You're going to take a rough home. Tell me what you want to hear, okay? Or some bands they'll work, they'll come in, do some overdubs and everything, and then they says, okay, we're going to mix next week. I says, before we mix, I'm going to do my version of your mix. Now, of course, it's going to cost you, but the point is, when you come in, we're going to be 80% done. You're not going to sit there for 3 hours while I twiddle with knobs and make things sound the way I want it to. I need your input. You're the producer now. You're going to tell me, Mike, this guitar has to be crystalline sounding, not you made it a little dull, a little too dull for me. Or that vocal, got to turn it down there. Or, any part that I'm listening to it and I hear it my way, tell me what you hear, because you got your song. I'm not always right. I don't know everything. Again, here we go with, I don't know everything. I'm still learning. But the point is, I'm trying to tell you, I'm trying to help you get to a certain point and try to save money. I know that most people say, bullshit, you're not trying to. Yes, I am.
That's one thing where you're very, very.
Am I fast?
You're very fair, very fast, but you're also, and that's why I was asking you, like, how big are those places in New York, or like how you mentioned here. You'll see different. In my business, I've been to a few studios.
Sure.
Not like I'm a master of studio.
No.
And you'll see pictures. You see pictures online, like, oh wow, that looks really great and really cool and all that other shit. But it's a smaller space, and they probably spend a lot of money on the decor,
right? Not
so much on your
equipment.
Space. You walk in, and it's like, I feel it's, and this is a compliment. It's homey.
Thank you.
And you have so little ego that it's, because you're
That's
not
important.
Yeah.
It's important.
Especially for somebody like, and we're in Ohio, so it's not like you got all these superstars that are. But
a few, but not that many. And I'll name them off. There's a few cats in this area that are just
phenomenal, right?
Fucking killer.
Incredible talent. I want to talk about some of the people from Ohio, too.
We will.
But, most of these, I would say most, I'm like what I'd consider like a ham and egger, okay?
Right.
I come in, I'm dangerous enough to strum a fucking few chords, and my voice is, and what do you think? Like, let's do this, let's do that. You are so easy to work with and welcoming.
I appreciate that, yes.
I'm actually, and we've talked about this in the past, like, I can't wait where I can fucking just rent the whole day, bring some pizza, invite my friends, and go, hey, we're going to make this album today. Here's your parts. And obviously, we'll try to have it a little more hammered out beforehand.
Right, of course, you should.
But man, what a great place just to go and do that and experience that. And I don't know if that's common. It doesn't look, when I look at other places, not even locally, but regionally,
anywhere.
Okay?
Yeah.
You're like, oh man, it's like really beautiful in there, and they've spent, not that your place isn't warm and welcoming.
You're not gonna hurt my feelings. Speak your mind, my brother. Okay?
Well, it's like when you walk into this space, because I was telling you.
Didn't I tell you how professional it was?
Well,
nice,
and I appreciate
beautiful.
that. And
it doesn't smell like a dorm room. Okay, your wife is not 100% right.
So I was gonna bring up.
I love you, honey, but no, come on.
That's what I was gonna bring up. She's like, it's like, because we don't spend a whole lot of money on style.
Right.
We spend it on the equipment.
Right.
The shit works. It's comfortable and it's adaptable space, right? And in your space, man, it's adaptable space.
Totally.
One of the greatest experiences of my artistic life had nothing to do with me being an artist, and that's where we first met. Mm-hmm. Was I my uncle invited me, hey, I'm gonna be recording my album. Why don't you come out here and video it and check it out?
Right.
We go out there, I don't know what to expect.
Of course
I'd never been to a recording studio before. And I was like, man, this is like, first off, it's a little intimidating.
Of course.
Until you walk in and meet you. And then you're like, oh, what a great time. You were mixing kind of live as you're recording, and you got, Wilbur on one side of the room and Frank on the other, and Tim Harker's in the back in a separate room so he can record the horn track. And, it's like just a cool space that you provide the space for people to breathe in their art form and operate. Great friend of mine, creative partner, if you will, creative producer, Dan Diallo, great musician, great keyboard player, and plays other instruments, but he's got a recording studio in his basement, and it's fucking awesome.
I'm sure it is, of course.
But it's a basement.
That's right.
And it's small.
Of course.
And, it's like, in your space, it's like,
see now.
So freeing.
After working in New York City, and when you go to my space is like being outside.
Yes.
Okay? All the light. I'm not a fucking vampire.
No.
Okay, that's the one thing that always got me about being in a studio, because I had a studio before I went to New York with a partner, Joe Hudek. You don't know who he is.
Okay.
He's a guitar player, good guitar player, of course, great guitar player. And we opened this studio. He was going to electronic school, ATES, used to be, I don't know if it was a tech school out on 422. And because we had this business, we lucked out. You know who Jane Pauley is?
Yeah, the
Today Show?
Yeah.
They came and interviewed him at the studio. We just opened the studio up.
No shit.
And she came there in 1980, I think it was. And see, again, I didn't know shit was going to happen. He goes to school, he graduates, we're partners, and then boom, they find out that he's in a recording studio, and they want to boost their image, obviously. And they were looking to, this was the time when the Valley was, all the businesses were leaving, the Packard's closing, Republic's all these places were closing, man. This place was one of the most hoppingest places for musicians to live and do their. You just can't believe what it used to be like compared to what it is today. Today, these guys have to go, they have to slug it. Okay, they got to work their ass off to fucking find a gig to play someplace, and they're not even getting paid half the time, or they're getting paid nothing.
Yeah.
And that's not fair.
No.
It's not fair at all. It's wrong. And because I used to play, I still do occasionally, but I'm saying play out.
Yeah,
not
I got
just
you.
play an instrument. I'm
Right,
still
right.
doing that. But the whole thing here is you want to be. We lived in an area. This place was. You could be in a band, play 4 nights a week, live in a house with other guys, pay for your car, food, and anything else you needed. Playing 4 nights a week in this area
Yeah.
at that time.
Isn't that crazy?
Isn't it crazy?
It's awesome.
You couldn't do that now.
No.
You'd have to prostitute yourself on top of playing the gigs, okay? On top. So it's just how things have turned upside down. And the music business today is not the same. Definitely not the same. You got more machines making music than people making music. We talked about this earlier. Told you about
AI.
the thing, the AI vocal. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I'm going, really? You could sing a melody into it, then type the words in, and it'll sing it in a voice. Oh, male voice? Nah, let's make it a female voice. Wow. Now, I wouldn't use that. I don't care about that. I won't buy that kind of software. I bought software that I can record people with. Now, I will pitch them. People come in and they sing. It's a little out of, oop, let's fix that. I love the performance. The performance is good. I'm not going to fuck with it. We don't have to do it again. Let's just fix that pitch right here and there. Got it. It's
Yeah.
done. Because you gave me this. I need the feeling.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing with the music. If you think that you have to have certain gear to make this happen, you're wrong. You got to have a certain talent. Every recording that I've ever done, the better the musician, the better the sound of everything.
That's the truth, right?
Everything, okay? I didn't have to have the greatest mics on them or the greatest mic pre's. The performance is what made the fucking track in the end. It always does. It always does. What do you think all these guys from the 60s and 70s, they didn't have that kind of great gear.
Right,
Okay?
right.
It wasn't great. And they had to cut tape at the time, or they had to sing it 50 times to learn it or keep going over it. Have you ever heard of the Wrecking Crew?
Sure.
Okay. Most people don't even know who the fuck they are.
Yeah.
In the 60s, if you listen to the Beach Boys or the Batman would come, that's those guys playing all the tracks.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to ask you when you were talking about Foreigner. Was that, and they set up the drums and they took all that time?
Oh, yeah.
It was the actual band that
they
was
played.
doing
Yes,
the
the band
recording.
played it.
Yeah.
No, they were
wasn't
there. They
like
played. No.
studio guys coming in.
Only keyboard players. Once in a while, they'd hire a keyboard player, studio keyboard player, and he'd be working out some parts for them, or adding some synth stuff, because that's when synths were pretty big at the time.
Sure.
Okay? And you had these specialists. Today, everybody just pushes a button, close enough. No, not in New York City. You'd push a button that says, okay, sort of, but we want a little bit more gliss on that, more glissando on it, and make it a little bit brighter, add a little bit of reverb. These keyboard players would know their keyboard so well that they can go into it and program it the way they wanted to. And it was limited at the time. We're talking about the 80s now. Today, you can plug your keyboard into a computer and do everything in the computer. Where those guys were doing it, just turning the knobs, going into the software.
Yeah.
I saw some amazing keyboard players, amazing cats, but they didn't use standard sounds. They might start with a standard sound, but then they'd turn it into their own sound for this record so that nobody else would have that sound. You'd have something close, maybe, because they started with a standard sound, or they had one of their own sounds that they made up, and then they go from there. They don't do stuff like here. Again, the musicians of today, especially younger people, and I hate to bust your balls on this, but you guys need to work harder at what you're doing. I know you're going to hate me for this. Please don't. You're talking to a guy that I grew up working. So when you're doing music, it's work. It's truly work. It's not only, you're not messing around. I spend hours on just writing one song, writing it so I can present it to one of my keyboard player friends or drummer friends, says, hey, lay something down for me, or here's my idea, what do you think, I don't take it, I don't just throw something out and I'm done. No, I spend time on the lyrics. I'll spend time on it. It takes time. And the other thing that around here, got to tell you a great story about Foreigner and Mick Jones, a guitar player in Foreigner, okay? He's written many hits. Fucking great, wonderful human being. they came into the studio, and I told him I'm a tech guy and everything. If you need something done, let me know. I've fixed a couple of pieces of equipment for him. Okay, he had a 12-track recorder, used a videotape and everything. So, one time, we had to work until 4 o'clock in the morning. My boss told me, "Hey, you're gonna have to work till 4 in the morning. The buses aren't gonna be running. You might have to bring your car, and if you do that, I'll pay for the parking." I said, "Yeah, sure, no problem. Okay." So we worked till about 4 in the morning. Mick is there, and the engineer's got a way home. I said, "Mick, get in the car with me. You're just going up the street. Look, at 4 o'clock in the morning in Manhattan, in 10 minutes I could be just about anywhere. Okay, there's no traffic. Literally, it's amazing. Try to go there 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it'll take you 2 days to get to where I had to get to."
Right.
Okay, anyways. So Mick gets in the car, and we're talking, and goes on for about 4 days. He says, "Oh, yeah. Well, what brought you to New York, Mike?" And we're talking, and, "Oh, you're a musician. Wow. Yeah." And I said, "Yeah," and I write stuff. He says, "Really? I'd like to hear something that you've written." I said, "Well, I haven't finished this." "Well, how long you been working on it?" I says, "Well, why don't you finish the fucking tune, And he busted my balls in the sweetest. Look, Mick, if you could ever hear this, thank you from the bottom of my heart, my brother. Thank you. Because of you, I'm finishing the songs. I'm writing them. I don't care if they don't go anywhere. I don't care about that. What I care about is doing the fucking song, finishing it, and I don't come back to it. Just like you said, he says, "Listen, when I write a song, you think I know it's a hit right off the bat? No, I don't. I just write them. They come out, okay? And then we work on them, and then we find out, oh, this one looks like it's going in that direction." And he just says, you have to finish them. And when you're done with them, don't revisit them. They're done. Move on.
Move on.
You can't get better by try to keep putting lipstick on a pig,
right,
and you think it's going to look prettier. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Write a new song.
Yep.
You've already learned how to write a song. Don't look at that song and say, I can make it better. Then write another one. That's all. That's what I do now. I don't try to make them better. All the songs I've done, they're done. I'm not doing them again. I don't have to revisit anything. I'm looking towards the new ones. Okay? I don't think about the old ones. I don't even think about them. I don't care. If people want to hear them, like I said, you can go to bandofthefree.com. That's where most of my material is, and you can go listen to it there if you like it. Or like I said, go to bandcamp.com. Band of the Free is the name of the band. See if you like it. If you like it, give it a like. That's all I ask. It's the only thing I would ask. And if you don't like it,
fuck off. That's me saying it, not Mike.
Fuck off. Okay?
Well, or if you're like me and still have a CD player in your car.
Which I do.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Well, you gave me Creative Possessions.
Yes.
And man, what a cool album.
Thank you. I appreciate
And when you were saying about how, because we kind of got hung up on this a little bit too. As myself and a couple guys working on stuff, and like, you want it all to sound the same. Like, fuck it, no. This one sounds like a jazz tune, and this one sounds like rock and roll.
Yeah.
And this one sounds like a Billy Joel ballad, and this one sounds like a fucking swing. It's like,
I'm all over the place.
Yeah, and that's what's cool about it. There is, and I don't know how to define what your through line is in the music, but there is a through line.
It's my voice, if anything.
Well, I think that's probably,
and the way I
it.
sing, I guess that's it. But everything, and that's because I played in a variety band. We were only popular in the Newton Falls, Warren area because we played weddings and parties and that. That's where I got most of my musical education from, and to learn how to appreciate every kind of music, whether it was a country song or a rock song or a polka, anything, okay? Anything. It didn't matter. To me, it was, I learned the song, we would play them, and then it was like, well, that's interesting. And then once I'd started writing a long time ago, but I never was finishing till I went to New York. Like I said, that was the greatest education I ever could have got.
How old are you at that time?
I'm 35, I'm going to say, right
Okay.
around there, 33, 35 years old at the time.
Well, how did you get from the bakery to New York City and working for some of these amazing people?
I went to electronics school as soon as I got out of high school because I was playing music, in a band. We were jamming and everything, and I wanted to learn how to fix my guitar amp. I thought that was important. That's what I thought was important at the time. So I went to electronics school for 2 years, got out of school, was fixing televisions and radios and stuff like that. A friend of mine, Nick Badilla, I remember because he showed me how to fix TVs and everything, and then I went to work for a place here in Howland. It was called Yerman's TV Service. I worked there for a while. Then I opened my own place and did that so I could make some money. Bought a 4-track recorder and a mini Moog and just started recording. I actually had a 2-track recorder before then. I dabbled in it. Then the 4-track recorder came out. It was a TAC 3340. Okay, I remember the number. I can't forget this. How can I forget it? And I had a Shure Vocal Master head. If you don't know what it is, look it up. It was only a 6-channel transistorized box, basically. And that's what I had at the time. Then I graduated from 4-track to 8-track to it's interesting what happened in buying I bought a 16-track machine from a brother-in-law of a guy who quit recording. He had the 16-track machine in his garage in pieces. It was an Ampex MM1000. This is one of the first 16-track machines ever made. Now this is, I'm going to say that was made in the 60s. It was probably 10 or 15 years before I had gotten the machine. Like I said, it was in parts. But luckily, I was a tech. I tried, I said, well, I learned how to fix it. Didn't know. I learned how to fix it. Right. I figured it out. At that time, like I said, I was partners with Joe Hudek. We were doing this together and got the 16-track machine and used that. That was one of the greatest sounding machines I ever thought we ever owned. Then bought a 24-track machine after that. Okay.
Are these all in like a console now? Because you're talking about the equipment's bigger.
It's like a washing machine. The 24-track, the 16-track machine, those are washing machine size.
Okay.
They're this big, and this tall, and I mean, they 400 or 500 pounds worth of steel and electronics. That's big.
Wow.
Big shit. So at the time, I was, in 1985, we had the tornado that happened in Newton Falls.
Oh, yeah,
okay?
right.
Now, see, I can't make this shit up because you're going to love this. We were working on a song in the basement. Dennis Augusta, a great keyboard player friend of mine, and I were overdubbing a country song, and the name of the song was A Change in the Weather. I swear to God, don't believe me. Ask Dennis, he'll tell you. So I'm running a 2-inch tape. We're overdubbing the piano, and then the lights start flickering. I says, wait, I'm not going to run the machine because the tape could fly off if the power goes off. Let's go see what's happening outside. I went, because we're in a basement of the studio. So I go up the stairs, and I open the door, and it pulls it right out of my hand. It just flaps open. I'm like, what the fuck?
Holy
and it was
shit.
black, huge black clouds in front. Like, I closed the door, ran downstairs, and we have this little window. We're looking out the side window, and there's shit flying all over the place for about 5 or 10 minutes. And then it's all gone. Went outside. It was the most nicest, calmest, perfect day. But everything was like a bomb hit it. We were maybe 300 yards away from the railroad track, the studio was. I walked over to the track. There was at least 5 or 6 railroad cars full of limestone, tipped over on the side.
Wow.
Okay, that's how powerful this thing was. But I didn't know what the hell even hit us. Like, what the fuck happened? I don't even know. Went uptown, found out we had a tornado, I guess. So that's what happened. But it was so quick, and I didn't know. Now I know what a tornado is all about and everything. But again, something like that could tell a funny story that we're doing a song called "A Change in the Weather," country tune. But so what happens in 1985 is. My partner decides to leave. He wants to go to California. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to try to go to New York. So I put a bunch of resumes together, sent them out, got 3 interviews. I flew out there in the morning, did all 3 interviews by the evening, flew back, and Right Track was one of the places I went to. This guy saw my enthusiasm, I guess, and liked me. For whatever reason, I showed him pictures of, I built a studio, I'm teching it and everything. Yeah, I could use a night guy, I'll let you know. So I got back, he called me. He says, if you can move here by December of this year, move here, show me that you moved here, I'll give you the job. So that's what I did. Closed the studio, moved to New York.
You're 35 at this time?
Right, 33, 35, somewhere in there, yeah.
Married, kids?
Married, no children.
No children
No
yet.
children. Married, no children.
What'd your wife say about that? Was she like,
She
what
was
the
with
fuck?
it. She was going with it. No, she dug
Cool.
it. She thought it was great. That was good. We'll go somewhere else and try to make a new life, and go
Awesome.
somewhere else. Yeah, it was cool. Everybody, she was cool about it.
What was she doing at the time?
She was working in the bakery that my parents had, sold it to some guy, and she was still working there. So that's where I went after the tornado happened. I went uptown to make sure she was okay. And that what happened, my parents had a couple buildings downtown, and one of them was damaged pretty greatly. The whole front of it got sucked off and everything, but that got fixed anyways. Point being, when I went to New York, did the interviews, like I said, 3 interviews in the day, went back. Then that guy, Simon, called me and said, hey, move here and you can have the job. I moved there. I showed him, I says, I got this apartment. I live here in New Jersey. I lived right across the river. So I had to learn how to get into Manhattan with the bus, and know where I was at and walk to the studio and everything. I got it all together. No problem. He saw I was there. Okay, you could start on this date. The Rolling Stones are recording their Dirty Work album when I'm the night tech, okay, in one room. The other room, I don't know if Billy Idol had started.
Now, how big? I want to just. How big are these rooms again?
These rooms are almost the size of what my studio is. Almost not. The one room is as tall and probably as big.
It's a fucking big studio.
Oh yeah, it's a big. There's 2 rooms. There's 2 studios. Okay. Studio B was a little bit smaller of a room, probably half the size of the recording room, and control room about the same size. You know what I mean? The 18 feet wide, maybe 20 feet deep, something like that.
Did you build your Toontown to those kind of,
sort of? Well,
you took
like I
from
said, when I went to New York, I realized that if I'm going to build a recording studio, I want to build it so that I'm going to be comfortable in it, and I want to know when it's daylight. I want the daylight to come in.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to work during the day, of course, and when I do work in the evening, that's okay. Excuse me. I'll turn on the lights and it'll be fine. Well, again, in a way, fortune smiled on me when I built the studio, because I know I'm changing gears here, because I got the job in New York and then start working there. But we'll jump to Toontown real quick, because my parents had bought that building. It was the oldest furniture store in Trumbull County, period, at the time, okay? It was called Bailey Furniture.
Oh, yeah.
The 1800s they built, okay? So he buys the building and it says, okay, we can rent the front and we can rent the house in the back, but that middle area, that was their, the place where they warehoused everything, okay? The warehouse. And they didn't know what to do with that. I says, hey, I want that. Can I have that? We'll turn it into a studio and everything. Yeah, sure. My parents were on board. They were great about it, I went and bought all kinds of used material. I told when you go in the control room, that's bowling alley flooring. I bought.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, because I had to have an isolated floor. When you walk out into the big studio, that was the second floor flooring. I cut it into pieces, and because of Dennis Augusta, he's a great carpenter as well as a great keyboard player. He helped me build that place. And he said, yeah, don't worry, we'll get to it. I kept all these are probably about 8 foot by 9 foot pieces of flooring that I'd cut out and just laid them on the side. We laid them down. That's what when you walk in next time, you'll see. I'll show you that where the flanges are, where the old flooring was. The windows, again, another friend of mine called me and says, Mike, because I had put the glass block in, but now we had to build a building inside a building, okay? So the inside had to have glass panes, and I wanted to have insulated glass, of course. A friend of mine calls me and says, hey, man, we're demoing WKBN. They're putting in brand new windows, and they're only selling them for $10 a piece.
Oh, shit.
Come over here.
Yeah.
And I did. I ran the fuck over there with money. He says, here. I bought 20 of them. So I only used like 12, I think, at the studio, 12 or 14. And they used the rest of them we built onto the house. So I put a few of them on the house, back room. Used them there, too, also to let the light in, man. It's great. So, again, situations like this, I didn't use all brand new material because if I'd have had to pay for that material brand new, I couldn't buy anything else. You know what I mean? It was just like, wow. But that's my parents coming out in me, because my dad, he wouldn't throw nothing away.
Oh, yeah.
I mean it. He was like,
my grandfather.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. We got a garage full of stuff still,
So do I.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm doing maintenance on some of these buildings he left me, and I'm walking in, I'm going,
I could use that.
Dad, thanks for. I thank him all the time. Says, okay, you were right, Pop. You were fucking right. All right. I said, what are you gonna do with all this shit? You showed me because I'm using it. Okay?
Well, we have a society today that's like a
throw
disposable.
away.
Everything's just like throw
Oh my
away.
God,
Yeah.
I hate that. Look, I have a television right now, that monitor I'm using. It had a problem. I bought another board. I know how to fix TVs, of course. And today, it's even easier to fix them because it's a circuit board, does like a dozen jobs. There's a power supply board, there's a video board, there's a main board, and maybe there's one other board possibly for the screen. So that's easy to fix. I know what the problems are. Instead of me spending $500 to $700 to buy another TV, $40 I bought a board, threw it in there, poof, it's working. Now it just failed. I can't find these boards anymore. But I sent it to this place in where is it out west there, Arizona, and they're going to fix $100. They'll fix it.
Save.
Thank you. See, that's what I'm saying.
Money.
I'm
Right.
not going to spend $500, $700. I could buy a brand new 70-inch of it.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck about
Right.
that. As long as I can see what the hell I'm doing,
Right.
I'm okay. I don't need.
Does it function?
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all I care about anymore. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't drive the newest car. It's a 30-year-old car I got. I don't care. People have to understand. I'm as old-fashioned as they get for being a technical person. Look, let me show you something. Now, I know what your phone looks like.
Holy shit.
Okay? This is what I use, folks. You know why? I just want to call you, you call me, and leave a fucking message. Done. I don't need to see music. I got an iPod for that, okay? If I need to record an idea, hey, hold it. Here's my idea machine.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I got ideas on here. Before that, I used to use a handheld cassette player. And ideas. I got, at my studio, I must have at least 50 cassettes full of ideas that I haven't even touched yet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That's what I'm saying. Coming up with the ideas is not the problem. It's developing.
Right.
Taking time to develop.
Yeah. It's the execution.
Well, yeah.
Not
It
always
takes
the
time.
idea.
And
Yeah.
technology, like I said, this works just as good as yours. You call me. I called you on this phone. You heard me, right? That's what I'm saying. Some people I understand. I would have a hard time. Some people do need to text. There could be somebody in a meeting. I would leave them a message. They'll hear it when they hear it. Okay, and then we'll get to it. I don't text people. It's not a sin. It's not a big deal to me. Some people want to know what the weather is at that moment. They could be standing outside and I want to know what the weather is. Okay, these phones are great. I'm not saying technology is a great thing.
Sure.
You got to use it correctly. But most people have it because that's like bling to them,
A lot of times, yeah.
Thank you.
Did you get a new iPhone? Like, no, my old iPhone works perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
Do I need to spend another grand?
Right,
What, to
amen.
look cool?
I have a robot. There's one in there too. That's not really. It's just kind of like a thing that goes around and vacuums. But the one we have at our house is it's a robot.
Yeah.
And it maps out where she went, where she vacuumed, this, that, and it's fucking great. I mean, we had rabbits, domesticated rabbits, and now we have a dog. And so, getting the fur up, runs on a schedule.
Got to clean it.
The other day, I'm looking at it and I go, oh, man, something's fucked up with this thing. She's not able to bat. It's a she. We named her Rosie, like
course.
Rosie the robot from
Yes.
the Jetsons. I'm like, man, fucking Rosie's messed up. What's going on, yeah? And I fixed her a couple times. So I fixed her wheels because the wheels get a little loose. They start to shimmy and they
Right.
And I go, man, something's wrong with this. So I start taking it apart a little bit because I want to fix the wheel. My son comes up and he goes, oh, what are you doing? And I said, I'm trying to fix Rosie, And I said, I'm having a hard time. He goes, probably time for a new one. And I go, well, or I'm going to try to find the tool that I can get deeper because it's a hexagon thing. I go, I got to find this thing and get deeper. Or I'll go online and figure out, can I buy this wheel? There's like an arm on it with a spring. Can I buy this thing and fix it? Because Rosie was fucking $500.
Right.
Okay? I don't want to buy another Rosie. I just want this Rosie to work.
Fixed, yeah.
Yeah. But so often, man, it's like, yeah, throw that away. We'll get another one. Like,
That's the mentality of
fuck,
today.
man?
Okay? No. And I'm not there. Like I said,
I'm not there either.
I'm old-fashioned in that way. I save more money. I might not have the newest, greatest, but I don't need it. Some
Bet
people
you got
do.
more money in the bank, though, right? You want
Yes,
to
I
take a
have
trip or you want to go
Right.
do the other thing,
Right.
you
If
can
I
use
want to
it
do
for
something or
other
buy
things.
something, if something else
Or if
breaks and I got to
it's
spend.
necessary.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Got to have that money when it's necessary to buy or fix something else. A car could break, something could happen. Hey, I don't need to have the most extravagant things in life. They don't mean that much to me. Okay? Another great experience that I had. I recorded. Have you ever heard of the Letterman?
Yeah.
Okay, the great band from the
They're
60s.
like harmonizers.
Yeah,
right?
they're three vocalists.
Vocalists,
okay?
yeah, sorry. Harmonizers.
The one guy,
You know what I'm
Tony
saying.
Butala, he was from
Oh,
Sharon,
yeah.
Pennsylvania.
What a fucking great guy.
Oh,
he
wonderful.
Opened the Vocal Hall of Fame
That's
over
right.
in Sharon.
That's right.
That's where I know the name
Okay,
of Letterman. Tony's a great dude.
Excellent. So we had done a few albums together. Then he took me to the Philippines with him to record them live at the Araneta. The Araneta is where they had the what was that? The major fight that
The Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali,
yeah.
George Foreman, I think it
Yeah,
was. I think
yeah.
it was. Anyways, so I record them, but my point was this. So I go there.
The Thrill in Manila.
That's it.
Sorry.
That's it. No. Thank you. That
was Joe
reminded me.
Louis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I go there. I'm hanging out, and they got this shop, and I says, "Oh yeah, let me buy some chocolates." I buy some chocolate, Hershey's Kisses. Great. I got some for the trip. I'm there in Manila. We go to this place called shit. I should have wrote it down. Anyways, it's an island. Okay. Taliban's supposed to be there too at the time. This is 15 years ago, 12, 15 years ago. We get off the plane, and this is the other thing that blew my mind. People wanted my autograph. I was just I'm the recording guy. They're getting their autographs. They're coming to me. Okay, they treated us like we were the Beatles getting off the freaking plane. Okay, I couldn't believe it. It's amazing. It's amazing. So, this is the one thing that really taught me that I'm glad of where I'm living, and I got to appreciate what I have, because we're waiting at the airport. There's a place where we wait outside. We're standing there, and I see these little kids. I'm going, oh, here, let me give them some Hershey's Kisses, and I throw them out there at them, and they take them. More kids come. Then their parents come, and I'm like, I'm almost in tears because I'm out of fucking candy, and I'm going, oh shit, and I'm like, I don't have no more. And they says, please, I didn't have any more. It bummed me out. But when I found out how these people lived, they live in shacks,
Oh, yeah.
dirt floors, dude. Anybody. If you live in America, if you're not living under a bridge, if you're living in a house and everything, be happy. Trust me. I learned a lesson of life that I'll start crying right now. I don't want to talk about it. It broke me up. I couldn't believe how my life is not that bad.
Yeah, life of gratitude. And look what we do. My wife calls this romper room. She's like, "You're going to fucking the playpen today?" Like, yeah.
I don't have to be a millionaire to be happy.
I can't believe people sometimes pay me money to do
Right,
shit.
me
I go,
too.
What the fuck?
Yeah, well,
I can't believe.
Remember the song? That ain't working. That's the way you do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get your money for nothing and your chicks for free.
That's
baby.
right. Well, that costs money.
Well,
no
yeah.
matter what you- okay, that ain't free. But that'd be another thing.
I want to rewind you for 1 second because
Yes, please,
I
please.
fucked you up. Your first day in the studio.
Yes.
The Rolling Stones are in one
room.
and
I think Billy Idol
maybe
was in the other
other
room doing Whiplash.
Fish out of water. I mean, what was your?
Well, it's just overwhelming.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting. I knew that who was in the room. I knew what was going on, and if they called me, I'd go in there and fix the problem. I would fix their problems. I learned quickly. When you're put in the frying pan, and you're there, you either fix or you're going to be out.
Going back to Newton Falls,
Thank you.
motherfucker.
And I didn't want to go back to Newton Falls. No fucking way. Not at that point. So I learned. But see, you learn about how artists, these people, Billy Idol was the nicest. I mean, some people say, oh, he's so mean, he's so hard-ass. Not to me, he wasn't. He was the nice. He'd come out, Mike, the fucking cunt, Jesus Christ, the fucking thing, got to fix the fuck, come over here. He put his arm around me and we're talking. Okay, no problem, Billy, go inside. I'd fix something. Wait a minute, you need a hug. You're so, I appreciate that. That was so nice. Him, Steve Stevens, his guitar player, another wonderful, warm, beautiful. Mick Jagger, again. We would play video games. Nobody's there. He's taking a break. He says, "Come on, Mike, let's fucking play a couple rounds." Okay. And we played this. I think it was Galaga at the time.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to ask you.
Okay,
Yeah, it's one of my favorite games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We had fun. But see, even Mick, at the time, I would be beating his ass, and he'd grab me, and go, fucking bastard, he'd pull me back. But in a nice way. Was never mean, and I'd do it to him too. I says, "What? Fuck you!" We'd have fun.
Yeah.
That's what it was all about. That's what you had to learn about being professional. Make it fun. Okay, my boss reminded me all the time, he said, "Mike, this is my place." And I said, "Yeah, I know that, but I'm going to treat it like it's mine." And that's what made a difference. I wanted to learn. I was dying to know everything I wanted to learn about. Should I stay in this business? Is this the place for me? Am I doing the right thing? I guess I was. I was digging it. Everything. My boss and I we had a good rapport. And when I left, we left on great terms, okay? That's all I'm going to say. I don't need to go more into it because there was some situations that happened and we had to sit down and have a couple of talks and we worked it out between us. But that's the whole thing with any boss. I wasn't mad at him. I was never angry at him. He had his own way of doing things and I had to accept that. That was his place and he was nice enough to give me a job. Simon, he's dead now. He's gone. But thank you for giving me the gig, my brother. I appreciate it. I'll appreciate it till the day I'm fucking dead. And even then, I'll appreciate it even more. Okay?
You can tell him then.
Yeah, I'll tell him then. Personally, won't have to write it down or nothing.
Want to be debt-free faster, save money in taxes and insurance, and retire with more wealth? Call Zach Byler of Prosperity Partners Financial Solutions today for full-service financial advisory. 330-219-5225. If you're looking to buy new or sell your current home or commercial property in Northeast Ohio or Northwestern Pennsylvania, look no further than Brokers Realty at brokerssold.com. Top Shelf Bar, 450 wines on hand, and your choice of local craft beers, including Modern Methods Brewery Double IPA, now available at the Station Square Restaurant.
Again, and I could tell you, let me tell you another story. I'll give you some right track stories, okay? So, we're in the studio, Eddie Kramer, Jimi Hendrix's engineer.
Okay.
Eddie Kramer, okay? I'm the night guy on the night, they're working on, I don't know the
Can
program.
I ask you this for a second?
Yes, please.
When you say the night guy, that's like the off studio, like the off premium time? No, okay.
Remember, they owned the studio. It's a lockout.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's not like day turn, night turn.
There is day turn, night turn, but
Right.
it's the same project.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Yep.
So this was another project that happened to come in. This happened a few months before I became the chief. Eddie
Kramer.
calls me. Thank you. Eddie calls me. Says, Mike, there's somebody on the fucking roof. God damn it, go up there. They're fucking making all kinds of noise. I'm going, what? Okay. So Right Track is a 3-story building with a roof. And now all those buildings in New York City at the time, when you go on the roof at Right Track, all these roofs are connected. I could walk over. It was on 48th Street. I could walk over to 47th Street from that roof and just walk around. I could go over to 6th or 7th Avenue, anyways, going by the roofs, okay? Because they were almost all the same. The buildings were all the same height, and the roofs touched each other, and you can. So I don't see nobody. I'm looking. It's just getting dusk, just getting dark, and I'm looking around. I says, I don't see nobody up here. Fuck it. I go downstairs. Says, hey Eddie, there's nobody up there. Okay. Not 5-10 minutes later, I go downstairs. And, Mike, get up there. They're quick. I hear them fucking jumping around. So I run up there. Nobody, nothing. Now, right next to Right Track, like I said, all these roofs are on the same level, basically. Except right next to Right Track, it's a 1-story building, not a 3-story building. So there's a big hole, like an 80 by 80 hole, and it goes down to the roof that's down there. Okay, I'm looking around. I don't see nothing. I go down, Eddie, there's nobody up there, okay? If they did, they're gone. I don't see them. Okay. Not 20 minutes later, the fire department and the police department come to Right Track. They come and knock on the door and says, hey, can we go up on the roofs there? Because you're the only place that's open. It's like 10 o'clock at night now, 9, 10 o'clock. And there was a stunt man. He was a little drunk, and he was showing off to his friends, and they don't know where he went to. They lost him. They saw him jumping around there, and then they lost him. Okay? Okay. So the police and the firemen come up there, and I do everything, get extension cables out. What do you guys need? I'm running around doing everything they want me to do. That they don't even ask me. I'm making them coffee, do you guys need anything? Let me know. So I'm up there in the roof watching what they're doing. They got this huge fucking spotlight. And they take the spotlight, and they're looking around and says, well, there's nothing. They look down in this hole. Now, in this area, there's 4 or 5 steam pipes that are covered with asbestos, okay? And they're taped, of course, in it. So they look down there. There's a guy. There he is. He's all fucked up. This leg was turned. It was pointing toward him. The foot was pointing. He was fucked up.
Oh,
he's laying there. So they says,
was he alive?
Okay. Oh yeah, he was alive.
Holy
he was alive.
shit.
So they go down. They get a ladder. Go down there. Go and put a ladder over against, because it's like 2/3 of the way down these pipes were, okay? And he fell right between them, and he's all fucked up. So we're all looking and standing there, and we're talking and looking, and the guys, the emergency guys, get this piece of plywood with holes in it, okay? And they were just going up to the guy, and they touch him, and he starts screaming, "Don't leave me!" He starts screaming and everything. One guy goes, "Fuck him, leave him there," Everybody blew up laughing. It was funny for a minute, okay? It was funny. And then they got real serious because they had to take the guy's clothes off. And when they were shoving this thing, they had to get his leg out.
Oh, man.
He was fucked up. He was definitely, I've never seen anybody like this, because once they got him strapped to this piece of plywood, okay, that had handles in it, we took him in the elevator. I could see in the light then, he looked like somebody took a baseball bat and just hit every part of his body, his head, everything. He had welts all over him, because when he fell, man, I don't know what he was doing. He was drunk. He was showing off to his friends. So
Let that be a lesson to you, kids.
that's right. You get drunk, sit on your ass, don't be jumping around, especially in New York City, okay? Most of those buildings are torn down, though. They tore down half of those buildings now.
Oh,
They
wow.
want to build skyscrapers in that area. But
Sure. Progress.
yes.
They call that
I guess
progress.
Yes, so.
Yeah.
So the next morning, because I'm working at night, the next morning the boss calls me into his office, which the fire chief and the police chief are there. And that, they're saying, "That guy there did everything. He gave us coffee. We didn't ask for anything. This guy, that's your man. We appreciate what he did for you and letting us in and helping us out." They leave, and my boss says, I've been in New York for so many, nobody's ever said a fucking word to me about anybody doing anything for him. And these guys are here, and they're patting us on the back, because he wanted the support of the police and the fire in case something happens, of course.
Sure, right.
You would want that. I would.
Yeah.
The police department, the fire department, they're important to me. Of course they
yeah.
are. Anyways, so Simon says, "I won't forget this, Mike. Thank you." 4 or 5 months later, that chief tech that was there, he quit, made me the chief.
Wow.
And, again, it was how many of those guys, there was 2 other night techs, I think. And I just happened to pick the night that happened. And they were fucking jealous, bummed out, I guess. Or, "Man, it should have been me. I wish it would have been me."
But you know what? They might not have been
Like
as
I did.
hospitable.
Probably
and
not.
as-
Possibly not, yes.
You made yourself useful.
I did.
Right?
I did. Well, I couldn't stand there. I can't stand.
Yeah.
I can't stand to stand.
I always tell, when we get interns, we'll have some interns in the summer now coming from college, and I said, man, just if we're not giving you something to do, find something that
Right.
you think would be, and find a way to make yourself useful.
Correct.
Because when you're on set or you're on location, and no matter what position you're in, the guy or girl who can be useful is the guy or girl that they'll remember
All the time.
and they're going to call you back for
That's
another
right.
gig.
That's right.
And that's what they did
That's
for you.
exactly because I'm like, I can't stand around. You know me. If I'm at the
Yeah.
studio, I just can't
Yeah.
stand. Come on, let's get to the next thing. Or I'm ahead of you, knowing we got to overdub this or do that. So I'm trying to think ahead.
Dom Senna,
Mm-hmm.
I went out to see him, and he lived in Pacific Palisades at the time. I don't know if he still lives there or not.
He does, because he comes to the studio. Okay,
I know, we
okay,
talked,
Okay,
yeah, we
okay,
talked.
good.
And he, because I think there's so much mystification around great artists and success, and how do you get this place, and you've got to be really talented, and you've got to be. And he said something that was the wisest, and it was just it goes back to what your parents taught you in the bakery. And Dom said, listen, Jim, there's people out here that are, and I've met them, and I could count them on one hand that you would call a genius, okay? A Steven Spielberg,
Sure.
or a Woody Allen or a Martin Scorsese. You know what the difference is? He says, the guy who shows up first, or girl, again, I'm not trying to.
Yeah, no.
The person who shows up first,
Right.
and works the hardest, and they're the last to leave, and they will grind, and that's the difference
They're the
between
dedicated
those who are
ones.
successful
That's right.
and those who are,
Yeah.
sometimes fly-by-nighters.
Yeah, they'll get a gig here and a gig there.
Because
and they're
Dominic is incredibly successful,
Oh, my
right?
God, yes, of
and it
course.
was just his...
and great human being. I love Dominic.
And he's unassuming.
No,
I
he
went to
is.
pick him up at his house. I was trying to impress him. I bought him this very nice bottle of wine, and he was very gracious
Mm-hmm.
and wonderful. And he goes, hey, do you like Starbucks? You want to get... Yeah. And he's got like a T-shirt on. It's got some holes in it and a tatted up,
Yeah.
a fucking ripped up ball cap. The guy's a fucking multi-million. He's directed movies that are $100 million budgets.
Correct.
He's got a beautiful house in the Palisades in a gated community. He's got a place in Italy. I mean, fucking humblest guy.
Oh, he's wonderful.
And I thought, that's the dude that I want to be like
Sure.
that, right? I don't.
right.
It's function a lot of times over form, where you are. You said you drove a 30-year-old car.
Still do.
A motherfucker gets you from A to B.
That's
bet
all
you.
I care
bet
about.
you could afford a Mercedes, but you drive. I don't know what kind of car. Maybe it is a 30-year-old.
It's a Saturn.
Okay, there you go. Right, and it's A to B. Right.
I don't
And
care.
You don't care, man.
The stereo sounds good to me, and I'm
Right,
done.
right.
I'm only trying to drive from one place to another. People are looking at what kind of car I drive, and they're going to judge me by that. They're more shallow than
Yeah, right.
a mud puddle, okay? Really.
Yep.
Okay? And I can't help them.
That's what I love about the studio. That's what I love about your studio.
Okay.
There's no pretense to it.
Shouldn't
There's
be.
no airs. You're not walking, and you've recorded gold records, and you've mentioned a whole
Been
bunch
on
of people.
projects that have done that, yes.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like, there's no pretense to it, man. And that's how you want to feel as an artist, especially a ham and egg guy like me, but I think everybody, because no matter how good you are, I think there's a level of insecurity.
Of course.
Where you want people to, hey, is this okay? Mm-hmm. And you want them to tell, hey, it fucking sucks. Or,
No.
or.
Yeah, I won't say it sucks. I'll say we
Right.
could make this better.
Yeah, right,
I
right.
try to candy coat it a little bit,
yeah.
just a little bit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell anybody they suck or they're not good. I try to tell them the reality of it.
Right.
You're singing out of pitch. You got to be more in time, or feel a little bit more. When you're doing this line, do this a little bit like And if you listen to me, fine. If you don't, I'm not going to be mad. You know what helps me be a good engineer is being an artist. I write songs, so I'm not bummed out when you say. If I have an idea and says, how about singing this part like that? And they're going, I don't like that. I don't get offended.
Yep.
I don't give a shit. It's like, oh, okay, let's try something else.
Because you're a pro, too.
Yeah, well, that too, but
Yeah.
because I do my own shit.
Right.
And because I do, I don't care.
And it's subjective.
Yeah,
it is somewhat of a subjective art form,
Everything
right?
is.
Yeah.
Who said something's great?
Yeah, right.
Okay?
Right.
Yeah, it's either great or it's not, or maybe somebody else will listen to it and go, bah, that's, or that's fantastic. And you might think, really? You like it that much?
Yeah.
Because I get people listen to my songs. I'm going, man, I love this one song. And I'm going, oh, I thought that was the weakest song on the record to me. And they loved it.
Yeah.
I won't argue with it because you can't outguess how somebody's going to think about something, obviously. I can't do that. And just like when Mick was telling me, how do I fucking know I'm writing a fucking hit song every time? I'd like to know that, but no, okay? I thank him. Again, these people that have crossed into my life, the professionals and everything, especially the people that are really making it in the music business at the time, taught me so much about what I didn't know. Is be humble. I'm there to help you. But listen, if you're just a recording engineer and you don't know shit about playing a guitar, don't tell the fucking guitar player what he should be playing.
Right.
Okay? If you don't know an A from a D chord, or if you can't hear that the A minor's out of hey, that's not quite in tune. Or, hey, don't tell the guy. Especially says, yeah, you're fucked up. You ain't playing it right. Well, what's wrong with it? Now, I could tell him because I'm a semi-guitar player, so I can communicate with him. Or drums, or keyboard, vocals, bass. I can talk to people, and I like to do that. I like to help them. I know their language. I know enough of it. I can't read music to save my life.
Yep.
But I can play it, and I can make it close enough for me to do what I'm doing, okay?
Yeah.
And all I'm trying to do is learn from other people, because even people that are inexperienced, they might come in and do something. I'm going, that's interesting. Listen to what they're doing there, Mom. That's cool. I never thought of that, or doing something like that. And I might take an idea of what they did and put it into one of my tunes, or do something like that kind of feel. Again, if you're not always learning in life, you're missing it, man.
You're like
really
a
missing
sponge.
it.
You got to be a sponge.
You have
It's
to
important.
be every day of the week. You
Yep.
don't know everything. Don't be the guy that says, no, I know because this is my studio and I'm the engineer. And I says,
yeah.
you're just a fucking engineer, pal, okay? Are you a tech? Do you know how to fix the shit? Well, no. Are you a musician? Well, I used to play guitar. See, that's what I'm saying. These guys, there's some guys that are into a head trip.
Yeah.
And look, I get it because I did that at one time. I knew that. Once I went to New York, that should be a prerequisite for anybody in this business. Go work with the pros for about 2 to 3 to 5 years like I did. And you will come back changed. If you don't, then you didn't learn anything, okay? All I'm about is trying to learn. I'm just trying to learn about I'm still trying to learn about the business. I'm not trying to be famous. That's time has passed for me. I just want to keep doing what I'm doing because I'm able to do it. As you could tell me,
You're good at it.
I'm
You're
good
very
at it.
good at
I know
it.
what I'm doing. I
Yeah.
know what to do. Yes,
Yeah,
I know how
fuck
to help
yeah.
people and what to do, even for my own self. It helps. But again, it's all that experience that I can't thank everybody enough that has crossed my path that's helped me get better at what I'm doing. That's all. Especially the professionals that I've worked with, okay? Tons of people in New York, great people, wonderful. Most people talk about that New York attitude and they're all fucked up and mean and everything. That's not true. That's not true. Good example about somebody that you might think is not, might be a hard ass. Gene Simmons. You know who Gene is. Everybody
man.
does.
Guy's got the longest tongue in the world,
Exactly. Okay. So he was at Right Track for, I think they were doing some remixes of Kiss or whatever. I can't remember what it was. And we're sitting there. Michael Jackson album comes out. Okay. And we're talking. And he
man.
goes,
The Thriller album?
yes, I think it was Thriller.
Okay.
And we're talking, sitting there talking, and Gene's there, and he says, yeah. And says, if it wasn't for Quincy Jones, he says, nobody knows who Quincy is.
At that time.
At the time. Well, and he was going to make a point with this. He says, nobody knows. And the young guy was saying, everybody knows who fucking Quincy Jones. Oh my God, he's like Michael Jackson famous. He goes, look, where Right Track was, Sam Ash and Manny's Music was right next door, okay? They had a musical instrument placed there, and across the street was Ray's guitar play. You know what I mean? That was Music Row right there. He said, let's do this. I'll bet you $50. We'll go downstairs and we'll ask, who is Michael Jackson's producer? Do you know who this is? He says, I bet you won't find 3 people out of 10. And he says, I pick them. That's what Gene says. Bet you $50. Okay. And Gene, if you remember this, okay, this was funny. It was a great lesson again. So we go down there. There's all musicians. You could tell, and he's picking. He says, that guy, go ask him. No, I don't know who he is. Go ask this guy. We get to like 3 or 4. Yeah, that guy knows who he is. Okay, Michael Jackson's producer. That's what we had to hear him say. That's who he is. Got 2 guys, and he's on to the last person.
Now they're giving the name Quincy Jones.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're saying, who's Quincy Jones?
Do you know
And
who
some
Quincy
people,
Jones
yeah,
is?
right. And they're going, who? But he's picking them, like I says. The Gene's picking these people and says, ask that guy. That's what his deal was. It's okay. So we going down there. He did get 3 people. I think on purpose he picked somebody that he thought, that guy's got to know. Go ask that guy over there. He knew who Quincy Jones was. Okay, so the guy wins the $50. That's fine, no problem. And I'm going up the elevator with Gene. I'm going, Gene, if you would have lost, he goes, I didn't want the guy's money. I'm trying to teach him something. I'm trying to show him something that nobody knows who these people are that are behind the scenes most of the time. You might think because it's Michael Jackson. No. He says, I was just trying to make a point. And I thought, that was really smart. When you see Gene Simmons on TV, he's acting most of the time because he's the nicest guy when you sit with him. I don't know. Again, I'm not in a band with him. I just sat. We ate a couple of lunches together, and we sat there and talked a few times because at Right Track we had a lounge area, okay, and they had video games and whatever you want to do, and you'd sit there during lunch or hang out for a little bit when there's no work to do. And sometimes the artists would come out and sit and talk to you and everything. So that was very cool. And like I said, that's just one situation where. Here's another one. Bob Clearmountain, the engineer, he's doing Bruce Springsteen, that live album. Bruce comes in the studio with one shoe. Like, what the fuck happened to you, Bruce? He goes, I've been downtown Manhattan thousands of times. Nobody bothers me. Nobody says a word. He's coming to Right Track. He's walking. Somebody says, there's Bruce Springsteen. He starts running towards the studio. A guy grabs him, and he tries to get away and pulls his shoe off.
What the fuck?
Well, he makes it into Right Track. The door's closed and he's all safe and everything. He's telling us the story. He goes, this never happens to me. But it did at that time, you know? Again, stupid little things that when you're dealing with high-profile people and things happen to them even, you know?
Yeah.
It's, again, another story that I can't make this shit up, you know?
Did people smoke in the studio back in that day? You know, smoke and electronics is a
they did. They did most of the time. If they smoked anything, if they smoked cigarettes, sometimes they would go out in the lounge. They wouldn't do it in the room, but they had a lounge. Oops, sorry.
It's okay.
No, it's not, because I know microphones don't like that shit. No, anyways, they had a lounge that was attached to the studio. Then we had a studio lounge. In other words, the room, you can go in the back of Studio B or Studio A. It had its own private lounge. They would go in there and smoke probably most of the time, okay, if it was cigarettes or whatever they were smoking or doing. Most of the people did... most of the people were so busy. Of course, they had habits. Everybody would, whatever it was smoking or whatever they were doing or drinking. That's another thing. People would drink. They liked alcohol. You know, let them do what they're going to do, obviously.
Yeah. We like alcohol, too. You brought me some wine today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Homemade wine. I made that myself.
I have it back here. It's Mike's special label. Is it called Toontown wine?
No, it's not called anything. No,
Yeah.
it's that version will be Cabernet 2020. Okay, it's got a name on it, but that's a bottle. Like it says, friends bring me empty bottles because they
I'm hiding the
hide the name.
actual wine bottle.
There you go. Hide the name, but
this is a Cabernet 2020.
Yes, Cabernet 2020.
This was made in 2020.
Yeah, I started it in 2020, so that's when I'm.
Oh.
Okay, so then now
That's the vintage.
That's the vintage of when I started it. I got the juice, as it were. My dad. See, I learned it from him.
Crush the grapes.
We used to crush the grapes.
Yeah.
And he was a hardhead. He wouldn't. My uncles would say, "Hey,
Just get the juice.
just get the fucking juice. You know, it'd take us a week to clean the shit. You know." But see, the other thing is
Did they make grappa out of the rinds?
No, my dad didn't care about that. He just made the wine, and he used a wine barrel also. But my kids and my brother's kids, my dad made it a point. Let's make wine together, all together.
That's
he did
cool.
It was very cool because I videoed it. You know, the kids loved that thing. It was wonderful for them because they're 8, 10 years old and they're making wine, and my dad's giving them wine. Saying,
Oh yeah,
have a sip,
have a little,
sip.
yeah.
And they, a little buzz. I'm okay with it because my dad's not gonna, of course.
Right.
And it's a normal. My parents never, ever hid the alcohol. I knew where the alcohol was in the house. I could have drank
here.
at any time, but I never did.
Yep.
I knew it didn't do anything for me, and I didn't care about doing that. That's all at the time.
Well, it was a part of your culture too,
Yes.
probably. So it wasn't
Correct.
like so. Again, that word mystified. You know, we're 11, 12 years old. You know, and you had to sit down for dinner. You want to have a little wine with your.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't
And
my
of course,
favorite.
I was an altar boy too.
Yeah, see,
you know,
that's
so
what I'm
you kind
saying.
of had some of that.
Wine wasn't my favorite drink. It was water most of the time. That's what I drink all the time now is water. You
Yeah.
know, but the point being here, again, my parents didn't have to. I'll tell you what happened to me one time. And I knew they never had to worry about me ever drinking alcohol and getting drunk again.
Get yourself all fucked up, didn't you?
16 years old, I'm in a wedding in Canada. I got relatives in Canada. That's the other thing my parents taught me is to speak Italian. Now it's from their town, Silvi, that's on the eastern coast of Italy there, the Adriatic side. They're from a little town there. And I learned their dialect, okay? But I speak Italian. I call my cousins.
What like province is that from? Do you know?
Abruzzi.
Oh, it's Abruzzi.
It's Abruzzi,
okay.
yeah. So it's
like
it's
Bob
near
Abruzzi down at Cafe 422.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the city that my parents are close to is called Pescara. That means fish.
Fish.
There you go. So that's the name of the big city. They're like 10 or 15 miles out. It's a little town on top of a mountain kind of thing. It's cool. Anyways, we go to this wedding. I'm in the wedding party. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. We start eating pizzelles and whiskey shots. Hey, to the bride, to the groom, blah, blah, blah. They get married, and it's about like noon, 1 o'clock, and I'm dizzy because it's like, another whiskey. Okay, I'm 16. We go back to my uncle's house, spend an hour there, and I'm like, I'm fucked up. Big fucking time. I deserve it. I brought it on myself, obviously. But
You
like
were
I said,
inexperienced though too.
well, I got an experience out of it.
Oh, boy.
And that was not to. Anyways, so I couldn't go to the party. I was white as a ghost, and my dad, are you going to be okay? Okay, see what happens when you drink too much, huh? And he's telling me in Italian, okay? Because when I was 7 years old, my dad told me when we were working in the bakery, this is the last day I'm speaking English. Tomorrow it's Italian from now on. So I had to run to my mother. How do you say this? My dad he would ignore me until I spoke it in Italian. What a great way to learn.
Yeah,
okay?
right.
Okay, anyways.
Sink or swim.
So I'm sick, throwing up all night, dry heaving after a while.
Ugh.
The next day, we go back to Ohio, and I'm still for 2 days. And I don't want to smell whiskey. Are you kidding me? I'd start puking if I did. But, again, taught me the greatest lesson in my life. You can drink some alcohol, just don't overdo it.
Moderation.
Moderation in anything. I don't care what you're doing. You be moderate about it. How big of a buzz do you fucking need,
Right.
okay? What are you doing to yourself? Well, like I said, my parents never had to worry after that. They saw he learned a lesson. Yeah, because I didn't care anymore about alcohol. I was like, I don't want to drink that stuff. I don't need that. No, I'm good.
If 2 made me feel good, I bet 4 would make me feel great.
Yeah, right. That's what you think.
And then 4 more will make me feel better. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but then tomorrow.
Diminishing returns, my
Talk to me
friend.
about it tomorrow, okay? Or that night when you're.
Well, sometimes, not recently, but I've had the habit of, I've taken it to excess sometimes,
Sure.
admittedly.
Oh, well, you're only human.
Yeah, but boy, you can take it to excess a little bit easier when you're in your 20s and your 30s.
Well, you're young, you can take it.
And then once you get, now it's like, forget it.
No,
Yeah,
I
it's
won't
not
even
worth it.
think
No.
not even close to worth it. Are you kidding
No.
me? That's a big payment schedule there.
Could be 2-3 days. I'm not feeling right.
Forget it.
No good?
No.
Thank you, Prodders, for listening to Part 1 with Mike Talanca of Toontown Recording. Don't forget to check out Part 2 with Mike coming soon on theprodcast.net. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcasting app as well, and like and share us on Facebook. Thanks again to our incredible Season 4 sponsors. Again, stay tuned for Part 2 with Mike Talanca of Toontown Recording Studio, coming soon on the Prodcast.